began to see it actually this morning when we were worshiping. But the first image that came to my mind was like a mask. It looked like a mask. Similar to like you've ever seen like the drama masks? You have one that's happy and one that's sad. So
yeah.
Similar to like that. And the mask was changing emotional images.
Okay.
And all you could see was like the mask rising up out of like a water, not really water, but a liquid substance. And the emotion was changing like rapidly, like almost distorted and disfigured. And then I noticed the mask was gold, but it was very tarnished. And then you see the mask go back into the water, rise up 3 times. And the gold that was tarnished fades away. And then you see silver that's tarnished. And again, 3 times up and down through the water, and the silver fades away. And then there was bronze, tarnished, again 3 times, fades away. And then you see, I guess, like earthen, like terracotta. And again, 3 times, but this time, as it comes up out of the water, there's like a full body, so it's like an earthen body.
Okay.
But the difference is that, the big difference is noticing you can see through it and there's a heart of flesh. But it's not like earthly flesh. The only way I can describe it is it was like spiritual flesh.
Sure.
And so, but within the heart was a crucible. And so you could see fire and light. And as this figure walked out of the liquid or whatever, you could see that this fire was burning up terracotta. And as the places of terracotta were burning, it was being replaced with actual flesh. And then kind of looking over, there's kind of more people that are coming forward, following, more like terracotta with a burning
the same
crucible heart that are following this one out. And as that happened, you couldn't really discern who the people were, but that first person was Tim. And you could see Tim really clearly. And you could see that he was mostly flesh, although there were parts of like terracotta. And then there was again like looking over to the right, actually, there was different groups of terracotta people. They didn't have the glowing heart. They had a heart of flesh, and it was like a flicker. So it wasn't bright. It wasn't really a crucible, but there was light there. And Tim begins to weep over this group of people.
Yes.
And in each of their hands, so they had some flesh, but portions of terracotta still. In their hands, they had like sledgehammers, and each of the figures went around hitting one another in the parts of the terracotta, breaking away the terracotta. And so all of a sudden, they were looked like a group of wounded figures crawling.
Wow.
And Tim begins to weep and weep and weep. And he walks over to the figures, and he grabs away one of the sledgehammers, and he comes back onto the other side, and he looks down at a piece of his own like earthen part still, and he begins to hammer on, I think it was like his calf muscle. And every time he did it, it was like an anvil that hit. There was like fire, and you could see that like the flesh was like breaking, and as he was doing that, there was less and less terracotta, and the other side of the terracotta figures that didn't really have the fire burning, and so it began to rise up, and then John came into the picture, and John was kind of standing as like a watchman on the wall, and the terracotta figures began to come after Tim, and then it appeared to be like our people, that Tim was kind of grabbing, as John was grabbing these sledgehammers away that they were trying to attack Tim. John would grab one and would hand it to Tim, and Tim was handing it amongst our people, and was almost teaching them like
how
to not harm one another with it, but to really forge in those areas. And then I noticed John, after he had collected all of the sledgehammers, he turned his back on the other people, and he spreads his arms out, and he stood there while those on the outside pounded and pounded, and he took each of the blows faithfully again and again.
Oh my God!
And the picture came back again to Tim, and this time he was still weeping, and you, Emmanuel, were standing underneath him, and you were catching his tears in your hands. And you began to go, and as the others were hammering out areas of like the terracotta and it was healing, you began to take the tears from Tim and you used it like a salve. And then the last image again saw Tim, who is now at this point almost fully formed, but Tim pulled out like a scalpel, and you could see him just scraping like little spots all over his body, just very like intentionally scraping. And then kind of pulling back again, you just kind of see the group of people becoming more and more whole, as there's like hammering, and there's some that are scraping, and some that are but then the whole group among everyone begins to weep.
Oh wow! Okay.
And it's one for another.
Sure.
And following kind of the lead that you had, they began to take their own tears, and as others were hammering things out in their life, you would use our own tears on other people.
Sure, yeah.
And that's kind of where it.
Wow, what a beautiful vision, brother. Thank you. Yeah, what an encouragement. And what a wonderful work kind of give us to do for our people. He want to heal us, but we got to deal with the carnal earthly nature. God's work cannot be done by human ways, you know. He will not share that glory, his glory, with the carnal mind, carnal ways. He shares with his own, the ones who he done the full job, become a witness and testimony unto him.